I wanted to quit every day, and I wanted more every day also. I was doing I'm not joking. I know maybe people will think it's a lie, but 18 hours a day. I don't have the shoulders to be a chef in a Michelin star restaurant, 100%. But I'm sure, yeah. Fingers crossed. I've never done that in my life. I think
Will you ever do it again?
No. It was even worse than the worst service I've ever had, I think.
Welcome back to the Chef JKP podcast. And on the show today, I'm extremely honored to have the one and only Hadrien Villedieu. He is the chef patron of Chez Wam. Hadrien, welcome to the show.
Thank you, James. Thanks for having me. That's a crazy intro. So yes, the expectations are high now.
First things first, as you know. First or favorite ever childhood food memory?
Wow, it's always a tricky question. To be honest, I would say first real memory of food will be, when you're a child and picking up fruits from my grandmother's tree. And I remember she was doing some pie with it. So plum pies, apricot pies, this kind of stuff. And then second one, I would say it's at home. I don't know why. At some point, my dad was obsessed with French toast, and we used to do French toast a lot. So
wow.
I remember myself cooking some French toast at that time. So as far as I can reckon, and remember some memories, yeah.
And which part of France are you from?
I'm from Paris, unfortunately.
Oh wow! So you're in the heart.
Yeah.
Wow.
Proper. But my mom is from the south. My dad is from Lyon. My mom is from Marseille. So we have a proper good mix in the family. All the good region for food.
Yeah. I mean, Provence is also my favorite part.
Amazing.
I have to say. Sorry to
Amazing.
Lyon
No,
also.
But trust me, I love south more than Paris now.
So then, growing up,
yeah,
were you always involved in food, or did you have something else in mind? Because you had obviously you've got this gastronomic sort of family, gastronomic background per se, but were you always interested in food?
Not at all. I have a very weird relationship with food. I don't know. I don't think I'm the only chef with that, but when I was young, I was almost kind of anorexic. So I had very strong, complicated feeling with food. I was not feeding myself a lot. It was always complicated for my mom since I was born to get me to eat stuff. And I developed this kind of stuff where I was really wanted to eat what I want to eat, the portion I want to eat, and the way I want it. So kind of
fussy. Would you say?
More than fussy.
Okay.
Extremely more than fussy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Very complicated food relationship. So one day I said to my mom, I want to be a chef. She literally laughed. She laughed at me and she's like, you want to be a chef or a comedian or actor?
Oh, my God.
No jokes. It was a huge surprise for everyone. I think it was a surprise for me too, to be honest with you. I think it was kind of a healing process of this behavior for me.
At which age did you make that decision?
Of going to a cooking school?
Yes.
After my bachelor, so around 18 years old.
So what did you do for your bachelor's?
So after my bachelor that I didn't succeed because I was not good at school and I was not really interested in what I was doing, I started a MBA into tourism and hospitality, which I didn't like also. And the last day of school before the exam was actually a cooking class, which was an horrible cooking class because we were learning how to make crepes with bechamel and shrimp, some horrible stuff that I've never even seen in my life.
What a good memory.
That's actually,
it must have been that bad.
That's a bad memory, actually, of food. And the chef at this class, that I even don't remember the name, and I would have loved to say thanks to him, because he said to me, how long have you been cooking for? And I look at him and I say, never. It's the first time I'm touching a frying pan, kind of, Used to help at home like every kid, your mom or your dad tried to, crack the egg and stuff like that. But I've never had interest into food. And he's like, but how many years have you been cooking? And I look at him, I was like, is he joking or what? I've never cooked in my life, first time. And he's like, you have something you should pursue in cooking.
Oh, wow.
And then summer came. Go crazy, go on holidays, do your life. And it was in my head. So it was there. And I was like, okay, maybe I should try, you know, you never know. But it really came like this, like without even a thought of it. And then I joined like a cooking school.
So if we backtrack, so that summer you had fun, whatever. Did you immediately have that conversation with your mum that you wanted to be a chef, or was it always playing around? Did you do some research? How was it at that time?
Look, it's really funny because it's the total opposite of everything that I wanted in life. I don't like order. I don't like people to tell me what to do. I don't like food. So how come I choose this path? You know what I mean? But then after summer, I was like, okay, I need to do something now with my life. I need to work, or I need to do something. I always wanted to travel, and I always wanted to do something with my hands because I felt like I'm good with my brain, but I'm better with my hands, you know? So I was like, I want to do something artistic. So for me, my dream was to be a DJ. Like I love music, so I wanted to do something that is music related. But I love music, but I don't think I'm good at it. You know what I mean? And I knew it, so I was like, okay, this guy was in my head. You should try cooking school. I didn't do any research. Just went into like cooking school like that. I just like jumped into it.
So tell me about your very first day at culinary school.
Amazing, love at first sight. Like seriously, no jokes. I don't know what happened, but. It's I cannot even describe it. I think it's something that you feel. Very hard work, very hard life. Being a chef, it's extremely complicated. You know better than me, but I don't know. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the pressure, with the stress, with the fact that I can peel a carrot, make something out of it, eat it, and basically for me, it's to give love. So that's, I think, also the backstory of it. It's like giving love through something. You know, like make people happy through something. And that was the thing.
Wow. So how long ago, or how long was that process for you for culinary? Was it 1 year? Was it 2 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
So and how intensive was the training where was it, in Paris?
Yes, in Paris, École Supérieure de Cuisine Française.
Wow.
Excuse me, I have to say it in French.
Please.
So
it's all good.
ESCF, and very famous French school.
Yeah.
With like a kitchen on 2 floors. A lot of very high-end chefs from around the world comes from this school. So beautiful school, amazing. And we had 6 months school and 6 months training in restaurants.
Okay, I have to talk about that.
Yeah, I have to talk about it too.
Because I feel very strongly about the education system.
Yeah.
So after the first initial 6 months of theory, let's say.
Yes.
How was it when you first stepped into a professional kitchen as an apprentice?
Very complicated.
In what way?
Because after 6 months of theory, you think you're a chef already. Yeah, good, I'm Alain Ducasse, done, you know? And then you arrive and you're like, nothing. Because what you think you know in a school or, you know, in an environment where you are like paying for someone to teach you is completely the opposite of someone that is accepting you for free and you have to showcase and you have to do a service and stuff like that.
So
this was like, wow.
Exactly.
A slap.
So I can imagine, I mean, and obviously the French is, you know, they are known obviously for the world of gastronomy, for the basics.
Yeah.
Escoffier, I don't need to talk about it, but I'm really interested to know how your journey as an apprentice was in those pro kitchens.
Very complicated. I will tell you also which restaurant I went as my first training.
Mm-hmm.
Joël Robuchon, L'Atelier, the reopening after his 3 years of retirement.
And it was a 3-star then?
So it was no stars then because he opened the first concept of L'Atelier, which was his first concept as like a French/Japanese with a teppanyaki open kitchen. So I got the opportunity to go there because the chefs, Philippe Braun and Eric Le Cerf, came to the school and they were like, we need 2 guys for September for the training. So who can you recommend? And our chefs were like asking who wants to go there. I was like, raise my hand. I was like, let's go for it, you know? And that was my first stage. Not ever in the kitchen because I did like a discovery of 1 week, you know, when you peel potatoes and you're like, woo, so cool.
Right.
But this was my actual first time in a kitchen. It was insane.
And how big was the brigade when they were doing the pre-openings?
Forget, we were like, I don't know, maybe like 20 people. It was, just to put that back in context, It was the first time Joël Robuchon was coming back on the scene after closing Jama and all of that. And he was coming back with a new concept, which was like revolutionary concept, an open kitchen, a teppanyaki.
In Paris.
2 hours, people queuing in front of the restaurant because no reservations. People flying from Japan. I am not joking. It was actually fantastic and completely insane to see. Insane. I'm not joking. And Joël Robuchon has been always like an idol for me because I was watching him on the TV. He had a TV show in France called Bon Appetit where he was cooking with a lot of chefs, and I always been like fascinated to see him cooking some stuff. So I was cooking with my idol, basically.
So he was there?
Yeah, daily.
And how was he on the pass?
Very complicated. Very complicated.
When you say complicated, you mean was he aggressive? Was he firm? Did he have his head chefs or sous chefs? Were they the ones being aggressive?
The army behind is the army behind. You know, it works like that. Joël Robuchon is the old school mentality, but that works also because, you know, you need to also understand that the pressure that this guy had on his shoulder, you cannot let it go. So obviously there is like a big army behind that is like, you know, trying to push the machine. One thing with him which was actually insane, when you get the KOTs, when you get your tickets, it was like announcing it once and then flipping over the KOT. So you cannot see it anymore. And you're not allowed to get like a pen and a paper to write it down. At that time of our life, there was no KOT in all sections.
Wow.
So you had to remember everything. And just bear in mind that you're cooking in front of guests. And these guests, they fly around the world. They pay excessive amount of money. They are sitting in front of you as a chef, as a commis, as a trainee or whatever.
They don't care what position you are. They're there for
They
the
look
experience.
at you. So, I don't know, touch your nose or do this or do that. And your chefs are like in front of you. They cannot yell at you or talk to you that bad in front of everyone. So it's, let's say, my best experience and also my worst experience in that sense.
But it must have shaped you. It must have,
Forget.
you know, I cannot imagine what was going through your head and at that time.
I wanted to quit every day and I wanted more every day also. I was doing like, I'm not joking. I know maybe people will think it's a lie, but like 18 hours a day. Sleeping on the bench for the double shift in front of the restaurant. It's extremely tough, but also you want to be there, and if you're not there, there's 100 million people behind that wants to take your space, and you know it's a place where you feel like you have a privilege to be there also.
How long were you there for?
6 months.
And after 6
Felt
months,
like 6 years.
After 6 months and losing 10 kilos.
Yeah, even more, I think.
Yeah. Wow. But it must have been quite eye-opening, because going back to what you first said, you're the guy who doesn't like, you know, fussy eater.
Yeah.
Doesn't like to be told what to do.
Yeah.
To then go essentially into what is a 3-star Michelin experience.
One of the most craziest kitchen ever, you know. I came back to school, and it's not to like throw flowers to myself and stuff like that, but with the other guy who I'm still in contact with, we came back to school and we were like a step ahead. Faster, cleaner, sharper. It was absolutely insane what we've learned.
You were
there.
changed men. You went from boys to men, basically, right?
Big time. And it was absolutely amazing. And if I have to do it again, I will do it again like 100 times. But looking back, it's like, why I have done that to myself?
Wow.
But it's insane. First of all, to have that on my resume, it's
huge.
It opened all the doors in any country, in any place. When I say I work with Joël Robuchon, people are like, okay, done.
Yeah.
And also like for my training, myself, the way I've learned things and the way you work, it's just insane. And also it shaped me so much in my future restaurants, and obviously with now today Chez Wam. Why do I have an open kitchen?
Wow.
It's not for no reason. Also, I got used to that since day one, and I was like, okay, if one day I have a restaurant, I want that. So
then, after you graduated, what happened next?
So what happened next is like I have the opportunity to either stay in France and to take my time to become like, you know, a chef de cuisine, but it will take maybe like 15 to 20 years because that's the way it was in France. It's not anymore like that. or travel and, accomplish what I wanted to, which is like traveling and do something with myself and maybe go a bit faster, but still by, showing that I can do it. So I got a position in Morocco, in Marrakech, as a chef in a relais chateau in the Palmeraie, which was like a 20-room, extremely luxury hotel where I did like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I didn't took days off for 6 months because I was like the youngest chef. I was like 23 or something like that.
So it means that you were the head chef.
I just left school and I became a chef.
Wow.
So I had to prove to myself that the people who hired me and trusted me, that I was capable of. Very hard lesson also. Very hard.
Why?
Because you're out of school, so you feel like you're capable, but you're not. But I did so many mistakes, but also I've learned from these mistakes. But also I highly recommend to everyone. Like, I think it's nice to go step by step, but I think like in France, like it was the fact that, you have to wait 1 year to be a commis. Then after that, you can be a CDP. And then after being a CDP for 5 years, you can be a sous chef. I would have not ended up the way I am today if I stayed in France and I've like waited like the old school way,
So I want to ask you about Morocco.
Yeah.
So 20 rooms, Relais Chateau, for anyone who doesn't know, is an ultra high-end luxury, world-class.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Michelin, but for hotels.
It is.
Right?
It is.
So, because I want to just understand your mentality back then. And what I mean is, you came straight out of culinary school.
Yeah.
And essentially, if we forget the restaurant, you went into a hotel.
Yeah.
And hotel chefs are super different to restaurant chefs. And the mentality of hotel chefs is super different.
Big time.
How did you sort of manage or learn? Because it must have been quite tricky. And what I mean by that is like the food cost, in-room dining, amenities, all of these things that hotels have. It must have driven you a bit mad, no, in the beginning?
I think now you notice how I am. I do decisions like a bit like crazy stage of my life. When I was a bit younger. Now I'm way more careful on what I do. But look, I've done training with like 2 and 3 Michelin star restaurants for the last like years. I've worked with Alain Passard. I've worked with Joël Robuchon.
Yeah.
I worked with like the big names, and the big guys. And I was like, okay, let's try something different because I don't have the shoulders to be a chef in a Michelin star restaurant, 100%. But I'm sure, yeah. Fingers crossed. But I'm sure I can manage a small restaurant or maybe a restaurant from a hotel without even knowing that. Obviously, I know Relais Chateau, but without even knowing the kind of clients I will get. It's extremely high-end. It's very high-priced. And I arrive there and I'm like completely lost in the sense that this is all very new. Creating a breakfast, lunch, and menu is easy, but managing it every day, consistency, food cost, and all of that, it's stuff that you learn every day. And that's why I was like, okay, I cannot take time off. I need to like just learn until I'm okay with everything. And I ended up being pretty good at it. So I was like very proud of myself, to be honest.
How old were you when you started that job?
23, 24.
Okay.
I was the youngest chef in Morocco, and I even got an article in Time magazine. I sent it to my mom, and she was like, I was like, and now you're not laughing anymore. Huh? And she was like,
I want to just speak to you about your management style then.
Yeah.
Because, so let's put it into context. Stepping out of France, so the French, they have a particular way of training and mentality or leadership, let's say.
Yeah.
Then you went to Morocco. Completely different continent.
Completely
different continent. Of course, still super high end.
Amazing.
The brigade, they were locals. They were from Morocco. They were international.
Only Moroccans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how was young 24-year-old Hadrien as a chef de cuisine or manager?
It was extremely hard. Let's be honest. I brought a sous chef with me that was from France. That was one of my friend from the class of like the cooking school. And I gave him the opportunity. So at least I didn't go by myself,
right?
To get a bit of support. It was very hard as a first time being a chef in a beautiful place to handle a different type of culture, let's say, because for me it was everything was new, and I was expecting to have like commis and CDPs, from what I've seen in other restaurants. And I remember, and that was actually very funny. The first day I arrived, I was like, okay, I need to learn the Moroccan techniques and stuff, and I was like, show me your recipes. So it's mostly ladies that are cooking there, and they were like, yeah, of course. So they were showing me by like putting like a hand of this, spoon of that, but there was no writings, there was no recipe. And I was like, but wait, what do you mean? How do you do it? And they're like, we do it with the eye and with the hand. And I was like, okay, but I need consistency. How can I learn it? So they were literally taking salt. I was stopping their hand, scale it, and put it back in the recipe to make sure I was having all the recipes perfect.
Whoa.
So
painful.
And also when you come from like 2 and 3 Michelin star restaurants, I'm talking about that, it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The mentality of it, the management skills are like way different from what's happening nowadays. I think now we evolved a lot, and I think it's great because, chefs are like trying to be a bit more human.
Mindful.
Yes, we're talking about mental health.
Yes,
everything that being not only learning by pressure, not only learning by yelling at people, but I've learned that way. So let's be honest, I did it to others also.
Okay, because I must admit, obviously you had an exceptional background, 2-star, 3-star legends, Joël, Robuchon, Alain, Passard. But then I can just imagine how you must have felt. Again, it's exciting to travel, and I think it's amazing to travel whilst you're young, and I highly recommend it. But to then put your stamp and prove to yourself, let alone others, but prove to yourself that you can do this, must have been quite tricky.
It's very hard because it's hard to become a chef. It's hard to become yourself as a person, as a woman, as a man, as a kid or whatever, just to grow yourself. But on top of that, as a professionally, you need to also showcase people like who you are and what you are. Are you copying recipes from people? Are you doing something new from you? Is it really you? It takes so much time to grow to that person. And also the management skills. You as a human being, you always tend to repeat what you see.
Yes.
At home, at work, So obviously I was not the most nicest chef, I will say, before. That's for sure.
And how long did you once you managed to find your stride after 6 months?
Yeah.
Obviously the food evolved.
Yeah.
You found your style, let's say. How long were you at that particular property for?
I was there for almost 4 years, 4 years. I didn't find my style, to be honest. We had like a nice garden with veggies and fruits. Obviously, I was coming from Alain Passard also. So I kind of used also the techniques that I learned from him with all the fruits and vegetables. So I was cooking a lot of his style, I will say, but reinvented by myself. So I think these early days, I was still trying to figure it out who I am and what can I do. So yeah, I stayed 3 to 4 years there.
But it must have been also quite nice to sort of learn, specifically in Morocco, about their spices, about their culture, about so many things.
It stays in me, because after this experience of Relais Chateau, I really wanted to improve my skills, not in cooking, but into management. So I really wanted to learn how to manage people, how to do maybe something a bit more in the middle range of cooking and not only high-end, because I was a bit done with high-end cuisine. So I joined another company where we had a hotel and a bigger restaurant for 150 seats. Which
more casual, would you say?
More casual, obviously, but still with people who are, good spenders. And this was super interesting also for me because I've learned so many other things. I've learned how to handle from a brigade of 4 ladies up to 20 people now. And I'm trying to be a proper chef now. And this is where I think I've really learned a lot on myself. And I learned also a lot of about the Moroccan culture, the spices and all of that. That stays forever. Even in my cooking today, there's no way I can remove it. And I love Morocco. It was a second home for me. I stayed there for I don't know, almost 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved it so much. I still love Morocco.
So what I wanted to sort of also ask you is specifically from Joël Robuchon and Alain Passard.
Yeah.
What would you say, in your opinion, is the one thing that Monsieur Robuchon taught you and what Alain Passard taught you?
I will say Mr. Chef Robuchon, he taught me how to work like a machine. No jokes. Like extremely clean, extremely professional, extremely sharp. Being sharp at all occasions. Like no time and no waste on anything. No mistakes. You know, it's extremely precise. He's like it's a laser. You know, it's like straight to the point. Wow. What I've learned from him also is like how you can twist a concept, because for me and for us at that time, I'm talking to you like 20 years ago, French chefs were French chefs, you know. No one was coming like him, open a kitchen with a giant Japanese teppanyaki. No one knows about this kind of cooking method. So he's like properly like reinventing himself to showcase something new. And the idea was a mix of like Spanish tapas with Japanese style, but with French technique. So he's the first chef at that time bringing that on the table. And for me, that was absolutely amazing. Alain Passard taught me how to understand the product. I remember the first day I arrived in his kitchen, he looked at me and he's like, "Hey, yo, asparagus." He called me asparagus because I'm long and, you know. I was like, "Yes." He's like, come, I'll show you something. And then he showed me an egg and he's like, "As soon as you understand what's inside the egg, you will understand how to be an egg." Something like that. I look at him, I was like, okay, where I'm just arrived. Like, seriously, I don't understand. And I got the opportunity. He sent me to his garden that he has like an hour away from Paris. Wow. So I was there like cooking for his head of garden, for the whole potager of Alain Passard. I was seeing how he grow the vegetables and everything. And I understood that day what he meant by that. Is like, understand your product first, and then you will know how to cook it the perfect way. And I arrived at the time where Alain Passard stopped cooking only vegetables and he brought back the meat and the fish on the table. And at that time, it was the most expensive menu, a la carte menu in Europe. I think it was at that time 400 euros or 375 euros for only like vegetables on the menu, which was completely insane. And he really taught me how to understand the products. This chef is just insane. He take the potato, he take a beetroot and he peel it in a way that, I don't know, everything is super poetic, super like, there's something about that which is like, that I've never learned from any other chefs.
Sounds incredible.
It's absolutely amazing. It shaped me, both of them shaped me so well in that sense, you know.
So I want to ask you something. You now as a chef, we recently had Giovanni Papi on the show. And and he was saying that, and he said this really beautiful thing, that us chefs, our job starts when the farmer's job is finished.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you're and have been for a number of years a leader. Do you still see that level of understanding, the level of passion, the level of love in young chefs about produce? Do you see that, or do you not see that?
Yes and no. I will say I feel more young chefs wants to be a chef straight away, which is funny to say because that's what I did. But I feel like they're more hungry for burning the steps than, I will say, understanding the products, understanding how the kitchen work and stuff. But I feel like there is still like a big generation of young chefs that want to understand everything. What is this? Where it come from? You know, and I think with like nowadays, the open of like all the social medias and internet, you can definitely type anything on internet and you can learn yourself. You can learn anything about a product. You can learn about the taste of it even without tasting it. You know what I mean? This stuff were not like open to us before. Before we had to fly something from Japan to try it and to see it. Now you can really like have a wide range of these kind of things to like open to you on your phone or on internet. So I think this is important to still have that, because a lot of chefs don't, I mean, not chefs, but a lot of young chefs don't even know how this grows or where this come from, you know. Even us, so we get surprised sometimes and we learn a lot, you know. I don't know, you go to Diba Oysters Farm, for example, and they show you everything from scratch. There's a lot of things that I didn't know about. You go to a farm and they explain to you how they do things and why and which type of zucchini can grow and not. This is super interesting because it's another job. We take the product, we cook it, but we don't grow them,
Exactly. And I think it's important to know because once you understand how it's grown, then you understand how to cook it and what marriages can have with the different foods and that kind of thing.
100%.
Right? So then going back to your travels,
Yeah.
after Morocco, what did you decide to do?
So after Morocco, I was a bit like done with Morocco, to be honest with you. I wanted to go back to like a place where it was a bit more moving because Morocco, it's a beautiful place, but I think it's like kind of static.
Yeah.
It stays, it's beautiful. People come on holidays to really have like, something different, see camels and kind of have the Moroccan folklore. And I really wanted to go back into something a bit more high-end, I would say. So I did a little consultancy in Saint-Barthélemy, the French Caribbean. I went to New York for like a very, very short time. And after that, I came back to Morocco and I was like, okay, I need to leave. I need to do something else. And then I saw an advertising on a job opportunity website opening a cooking school in Dubai, looking for a chef to teach people how to cook. I was like, okay, you know what? I will take this challenge because, again, I wanted my, portfolio, my professional portfolio to be a bit more wider. I've learned how to cook. I know how to handle a kitchen. I never teach people how to cook. It's something nice. And I'm a social person. I like to talk to people. I like to be around. So I contacted this person and without any clue of what is Dubai and where is it on the map or anything, without knowing anyone here either. And she was like, yeah, I'm opening a cooking school in partnership with a French chef, Guy Martin in France and everything. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So I left Morocco, went to Paris for 3 months to do a training for the cooking school, which is a totally new job because, to be honest, being a chef in the kitchen and being a chef in a cooking school teaching people is two different worlds. I remember the first class I gave to someone. I almost wanted to shout at this person and be, oh, are you cooking this like asparagus? And then I realized I'm like, no, he's a client. I cannot say that. And I had to learn a lot of
self-control.
Yeah.
Let's say. Which
was amazing for the future, to be honest,
yes.
For the management, I think I've learned a lot from that. So then I arrived in Dubai and I was the executive chef of this cooking school for a while.
And so let's talk about the cooking school.
Yeah.
First of all, what type of courses were you doing here?
Everything. We were starting to do like from macaroons to kids classes to teaching people how to, fillet a fish, anything that is related to like cooking skills. So we had like beginners, intermediate and like professional kind of like skills. We had a partnership also with Valrhona. So we were doing a lot of like VIP's experience with this chocolate brand. So I had to meet like a lot of different chefs, which was super cool, like a lot of different workshops. And at that time, I think like I'm talking like 12 years ago, cooking schools were like the new trend, People in Dubai, I think, were like, we want to learn how to cook at home. Products are like kind of accessible in the supermarket. Let's learn how to do these kind of things.
So then let's break it down for anyone who hasn't had that experience.
Yeah.
So again, you came from a 3-star background, then in Morocco, extensive period of time, luxury, high end, to then come in. And two things would have had to happen to you. Number one, your knowledge would have had to be even bigger because you were doing pastry and bread and so on and so forth. And at the same time, you are having to deal with different nationalities, different way of communicating, different cultures, and everyone in a cookery class has a different way of learning. Some are visual, some will listen, some are just practical. How was that experience for you, let's say, not in France when you were learning, but in Dubai, the first 3 months?
Mind-blowing. Completely mind-blowing. I did one day a class of like, I think 60 people.
6-0.
Yes, we had 3 classrooms, and then I divided 20, 20, and 20, and I was running like from one class to the other class to do, because it was kind of like a competition.
Was it a corporate
Yeah,
thing?
it was a corporate.
Okay.
I've never done that in my life. I think like it
Will
was.
you ever do it again?
No, it was even worse than the worst service I've ever had, I think. And it was so challenging, but also so fun, because, you know, you really have to like pull yourself, and like, you know, a lot of people, they, like you said, they don't learn the same way as what you thought they will learn, because you're showing something. One guy is like super good, very well skilled, and the other guy, he doesn't even know how to hold the knife. You know, he's cutting with the other edge and stuff. But obviously, you're not here to laugh at people and judge, because we were the same when we were young. You know, so you have to take more time for this person, but the other person is being faster. So then you need to rebalance. And this was
time managed, right? Everyone,
an hour and a half or 2 hours maximum to do a 3-course menu, like starter, main, dessert. Nightmare, but amazing experience.
Yeah, of course.
Like insane, because you learn a lot from, like, I think I've learned a lot about like culture and about myself, I would say, more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because also, so previously I in the UK, I was a teacher at a culinary school.
Yeah.
And
hats off to you.
And I was also an instructor at an award-winning cookery school. That did exactly what you said. The maximum class was not 60, it was only 16. But we were doing super basic skills, intermediate cookery parties, so on and so forth, all the way. Now they're doing, I think, 6 months or a year's worth of how to become a chef. You know, but you pay.
Yeah.
And what surprised me the most, I would say, was people genuinely, the thing that surprised me the most was the amount of people who don't know how to boil an egg.
Yeah.
That, to me, always blew my mind. Secondly, the thing that I found particularly interesting and quite sad, and I mean sad in a kind of not nice way, were the amount of gentlemen who were the age over 45 to 65 who didn't know how to cook because their wives had done it for them previously. You know?
Of course.
And for me, that class was also particularly moving, because the gentlemen who were there, you know, their wives, as I said, passed away. They'd never learned to cook. They became then best friends. Yeah, you know, through learning how to cook together.
That's cool.
So that was really, really nice. And the other thing that I really loved to do was when we had the kind of 12 to 16-year-olds in, and they learned to make bread. Yeah, because it was the first time they touched food, and by the end of the class, their minds were blown.
Yeah. Oh, I managed to do that.
I managed to make a pizza. Or I did this. So I think there is a really, I mean, it is a very difficult or very different mindset being an instructor or a cookery teacher to being a chef in a restaurant. But I agree with you also that when you are in a professional environment or in your own kitchen, you do bring that to your commis, chefs, so on and so forth.
Of course. I mean, at the end of the day, it's teaching, you know. When you're a chef, you have to also teach people. You have to, like, give anything that you got from others as, you know, a transmission of, like, knowledge. And I think that's what's also, like, matters the most as being a chef today. It's not only cooking, it's to transmit what you know to other people, and to see someone that is a commis 10 years after he's opening his restaurant. Like, that's what makes you the proudest, you know what I mean? Like, I love that. That's why I do this job. So when someone is extremely, like, interested in things and asking a lot of questions, for a lot of chefs it can be, like, annoying, but I think it's super nice. You need to take these kind of people who are really interested and push them, because they can really definitely become someone.
Exactly. Then you put that knowledge onto the next generation, right, which is really important. Yeah. Now, after you did this stint, where did you go? Did you stay in Dubai?
Yes, of course. So after these 5 years of, like, being a chef in a cooking school, I'll be very honest with you, after 3 years I was done already. Because also you have sometimes, like, people coming and think they know better than you. So I was like, why are you coming to a cooking school then? So I had this thing that I wanted to go back to my first love, which is, like, properly cooking for people, cooking in a restaurant or something like that. So I got approached to be the executive chef of Inked, which was a food platform in Al Sarkal Avenue in Alcoz. And it was the first in the region to, like, be like that. Blank canvas, a huge warehouse with a big kitchen. And we were basically doing anything that is related to food. So we called ourselves a food platform. So any event, any pop-up dinners, any chef's table or anything like that is related to food, and anything that has food and something else into it.
Okay. So walk me through how did this... So how did Inked, for people who don't know it, tell me the sort of customer or guest journey, because Al Sokal Avenue is a beautiful, beautiful little space in the middle of Al Quoz, the industrial area of Dubai.
Yeah.
Tell me about that particular venture.
It's let's say it's a cube that was like, in between warehouse. And what we created there was like an experience, let's say 3 different experiences. We had the chef's table upstairs that we were doing like as public and private, which was like a 8-seaters counter where we were really like cooking in front of the guest and having some like fun and experimenting like set menus and stuff like that. Talking about that like 7 years ago. And then we had the downstairs, which was more for events. So any brand who wanted to come and launch a product or say thank you to their guest or something like that, a new perfume, a new car or whatever, and they were coming to us because we were creative. So I don't know, let's say they had a black car that looks like a cube and they wanted all the food to be black and cubed. Or they have this new perfume with like this oud scents and they wanted the food that is related to the flavors and the fragrance of the perfume. So extremely high-end experience. And then we did some pop-up, which was like the fun part of it, which was basically creating themed dinner that we were selling to public for a week, and where we created like a lot of different themes. So Frida Kahlo, a dinner with the Gagano, which was like we recreated like a winter inside the warehouse with like so many like Christmas tree and a show kitchen. We did like something with Cheng 1004. We recreated his supermarket inside, and people were shopping, and there was like a ramen cup that they had to take and with hot water, and we basically pimped the ramen cup ourselves. So some extremely creative things.
But that must have been quite nice for you, because previously when you said, you're more of an artistic person, this must have really brought out the super artistic side of you. To be challenged in so many different ways.
It's unleashing the potential of anything that you can think of. Like some clients were coming to us with like some crazy ideas. So some stuff we can do and some we cannot. But I also like recreated like a full edible garden, which was like a 10-meter long table with chocolate soil and mushrooms, and people were like digging into it with like a spoon, and they were really like eating like, the table. Like so many stuff that challenge yourself, because you don't have the skills on everything. You cannot be good at everything. It's very complicated.
I was going to say that must have been super challenging, because the other thing is that people don't seem to understand one thing, especially people who don't cook. To develop dishes takes time.
Oh, of course.
You have to have that research, that development, and then you have to execute it, and then you have to do it again and again and again. But during events, you don't have that time.
No, you have 2 weeks. So and then there's another event coming a week after with another concept. So you're like completely like full on working on.
How did you manage that?
But to be honest, with a very good team also. But non-stop. Non-stop. You try also to not do the same things, because it's important, for the brands to have something that is very specific and special to them. And it's great. It's a challenge. I love challenge in life. So obviously it's something that is super. But at some point also, it's complicated. It's complicated because you obviously don't want to do only something that looks great, but doesn't taste good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be gimmicky, like, oh yeah, it's edible, it's nice, but then you try it and you're like, it needs to be edible and amazing.
Wow. So look, the one thing I cannot ignore, Hadrien, is previously on Instagram, you were known as Junk Food Man.
Yes.
For those who don't know, tell us that story. Where did that come from?
So, as I told you, I had like a very weird relationship with food. I mean, I still have a weird relationship with food. But when I was young, I was feeding myself with only junk food. So, I will not give the name of all these brands. But anything that is fast food oriented, that was my breakfast, lunch and dinner. And one day when I started cooking school and I was like cooking and stuff, some of my friends were like, you're really like the junk food man, like you eat only junk food, but you do like some amazing dishes. I don't know why it stayed. And when Instagram and all of that arrived, I called myself the junk food man, and everyone was like, "Why, it's so funny, you're the junk food man, but you cook fine dining stuff and everything." So yeah, it stayed for a while. I changed my name lately. I'm not junk food man anymore. I'm my name, but AKA junk food man in case.
Yes.
But it's actually very, it's funny. It's gimmicky. It's me, I like fun. I like fun stuff. I don't like to be too serious in things,
So after Inked,
Yeah.
still developing, being in Dubai,
Yes.
but then your latest venture and restaurant, Chez Wam.
Yes.
First of all, what does Chez Wam mean?
Chez Wam means for French people, it's chez moi in slang. It's reversed. So I'm a kid from the 80s, 80s, 90s. So when you wanted to be cool before, you always slang things. Chez Wam and stuff like that. So we always say like, come to Chez Wam, like come to my place for a drink or something like that.
Nice.
So it's like proper like French slang, let's say. So I always wanted to call a restaurant Chez moi or Chez Wam. Because, it's always Chez Albert,
Right.
Chez Jean-Luc, and
yes,
these kind
yes.
of names. And I don't want to write Chez Hadrien or Chez Hadrien. I
Right.
felt it was. So I wanted to make a little joke on, let's call it Chez Wam. Only thing is, if you really slang it the right way, it should be written OIM. But it's very hard to like pronounce here.
Sure.
So we kind of like phoneticed it and said like Chez Wam WAM. Which brings like some funny stories
it's
because
fine.
a lot of people think it's either like an Arabic restaurant or a Chinese restaurant. And the pronunciation is very complicated. Chez Wam or Chez Wam. So there's a lot of like private jokes about it.
So then, how was it born?
It's born like 20 years ago in my head. Or 15 years ago in my head. And then it was born on paper, I would say like 3 years ago. I was always very close to Rizwan Kasim, who's the owner and founder of Ricas Hospitality here. They have plenty of restaurants, more than 15 now. We've always been like, seeing each other here and there and always like touch base, how's life, how's business and everything. And he's always been like a kind of a great support to me. And he's basically partner with my ex-bosses that I worked in Morocco when I was working in the restaurant and the hotel. So there was kind of always of this kind of like, family feeling, and I keep saying to him, I really want to open a restaurant. I want to do something. And he was like, yeah, okay, one day the planets will align. And that's like kind of a private joke that we have together. And I keep saying to my wife, I want to do something for myself. I want to open a restaurant. I want. And I've never really did it. And hats off to her, because I would not be here if she was not pushing me. And one day she said to me, stop going and see him just for like coffee and stuff.
What's her name?
Jale.
Jale.
Yeah, thank you, Jale.
Thank you.
Yeah. Work on your concept. Make it happen. Go and see him with something like tangible. He's a businessman. Just stop the blah, blah, blah. Was a big slap for me, to be honest, because, I felt like, wow, okay. So what did I do all these years? Just like, having coffees and stuff. And then I worked on my project very hard. I came to Rizwan and I was like, I need to see you. I need to show you something. And he questioned me, challenged me and everything. And then I think like a week after it was signed.
So we have, Hadrien, we have a lot before we get on into the rest of what's going on.
Yes.
We have a lot of chefs, restaurateurs, we have hospitality professionals from all around the world that really listen to the show.
Yeah.
And they would never know what a concept brief or a document is needed to go to an investor.
Yeah.
For you, for the first time doing that, what did it involve?
A lot of research, lot of time, lot of love, because this project was in my head for years, but it's very hard to put it on the paper. Because, a lot of, like a recipe. Mm-hmm. You have an idea, you like, I want chicken and mushroom, and then you go crazy. Oh, let's put this sauce, let's do this, let's do that. So how to be precise in only like 3-4 pages, because investors or people from the industry, they know about things, they don't have time. So they just want to go through something, see that you put effort in it, understand the concept very fast, and see numbers. So that's what's important. You need to do 4 or 5 pages where you understand the concept, the style of it, the style of cooking, the style of the design of the space, what's the goal behind, what's the kind of clientele you're like aiming to, and some numbers. Numbers are very important, obviously, because just opening a restaurant for fun is good if you just want to do it for fun. But you need to have a proper concept in place and some few numbers that will show that it's viable with the lowest and the highest expectations, let's say.
And also something that people don't know necessarily called a forecast.
Yes, forecast, a P&L or whatever you call it. Even though you don't know how to do it, just show that you're willing to and you're trying to.
Okay. So after you spoke to him and he said, yes, go ahead, what happened next?
First I left and I went in my car and like shouted and I was shaking like no tomorrow. And I was like, I cannot step back now.
Amazing.
It's finished.
The journey starts.
Yeah, the journey starts. So I just called my wife and she was like, I cannot believe it. I was like, I cannot believe it either. And then the journey starts. And then you have like up and downs, mountains, roller coaster and everything, because obviously I'm a chef. I'm a chef. I'm not a businessman. I'm trying to now. I'm learning a lot. And going from a place where you know how to cook and how to manage people to a place where you want to open a restaurant is it's huge. You know, it's something crazy. So I became a contractor. I became like a designer. All of that, obviously with the huge help of Ricas Hospitality, because Rizwan is my partner and Ricas was like helping like on everything. Without them, it's impossible. I could have opened this place anyway. And their savoir-faire and their knowledge into things are like, it's so important. You realize that, because you're like, yeah, let's put a table with chairs and stuff, but what's the height of the table? What's the height of the chairs? How do you want the clients or the guests to feel like in your restaurant? Is it cozy? Is it not cozy? So many challenges, you know. So the first, like, let's say 6 months was about finding the place, the location, and also to pinpoint proper things on the concept. Color coding, design, which type of music, how's the kitchen's going to be, create the plan, drawings, and all of that.
So now the cooking has taken a complete back step.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye cooking.
And now you're becoming a proper owner.
Yeah.
Which means that you are involved in every single aspect of the restaurant.
I really wanted that, and I thanks Rizwan also for that, that he trusted me and he trusted the fact that even though maybe I didn't know and I still don't know a lot of things, he let me do things. And if he saw that there was some mistakes, he was coming and, you know, putting me back on the track. And I think that's like super important to have this kind of people around you to help you in life. A partner,
mentors,
a mentor, a wife, a husband, whatever is it. But, you know, people that also can put you back on track when sometimes, you know, you go a bit everywhere. So this was like extremely important to make sure that we're gonna succeed into a proper thing. So the first thing was like the location that we visited together, and he was like, okay, the restaurant's gonna be there. And I look at him and I was like, really? Like I couldn't see the restaurant because I've never done that in my life. He's done plenty of them. So for him, he sees that the walls are out and this and that. Me, I don't see anything. I see what's in front of me, and it's empty space. I'm like, how this restaurant gonna become a restaurant? And then obviously, you know, like first of all, the location is on top of a mall. St. Regis Garden was not what it is like 2 years ago. So, you know, you feel like, okay, is it the right thing to do? Is it the right location? And you're always worried in Dubai, location. Is it the AFC? Is it downtown? Is it the Palm? Like, you know, you're always scared. I was like, just listen to him. He knows what he's doing. So I'm just like following, you know. And we got this location. We start like building the restaurant, and that's where I was like there every day and working on everything, because partner or not, it was my baby. It's my name. It's me on a plate. It's me in a glass. It's me in the speaker. So I wanted to know everything about it, just also to show people that trusted me that they can really trust me. And I'm taking that extremely seriously.
So opening day, when was that?
June 27.
June 27th.
Mm-hmm. Public. Because we did some tasting and trial and errors also before.
Okay. So then
2023.
June 27th, 2023. How was that day for you?
I don't know.
And it was dinner only or lunch?
Dinner only.
Dinner only. So 6 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you booked? Did you have walk-ins? How was that first service?
It was I don't know, it was amazing. Look, to be honest, I went to Chez Wam like a million of times before it opened already. We were doing all the training and testing since 1st of June. So we were in the kitchen and everything. But when the doors literally opened and the music was on and everything, something came into my body and like, I don't know, I cannot even describe it. I was like, finally, it's here. I'm doing it, So proud. But also like nothing else matters around anymore. So we had bookings, not really walk-ins because we were not like known yet. But we had a lot of bookings, and the first few months, even though summer it was in Dubai, people were very receptive to us and coming and trying this new place. And who's this crazy chef who opened during summer and and all of that. And I'll be honest with you, also, like community here knows me, but for the last let's say two years, when we were trying to work on the project, I was not anymore on the scene, so people were expecting something from me. So I had an extra pressure for myself, pressure for my family, pressure from my partners who trust me, and pressure from people who are like, what has he been doing for 2 years?
Can I talk about that for a second?
Yeah, of course.
How did you handle the pressure?
With people around you. I think that's like the key to the success in that kind of things, My wife is my rock. My partner is also like amazing and always here. The team at Ricas is extremely insane. Nazli, who's the PR queen, who's a huge help on a lot of things for me, on marketing the place, on how to find the way to do things. Gilles, who's the corporate chef of the group, who's been also like a brother. So it's really like when you surround yourself with these kind of people, you know that you can reach. But also what's so important, and I didn't talk about it yet, it's like the people that works at Chez Wam. I will go from the cleaner to the GM to my chef, my sous chef, my chef de cuisine. You cannot do anything without a team, and you cannot do anything without a team who believes in this project as much as you do believe in this, And I have an amazing GM, I have an amazing chef, and I have an amazing team that all of them like pull out the work and help you and give you the strength to make it happen.
Absolutely, because look, let's be honest, opening a restaurant is not easy. No. Physically or mentally, but yeah. I think even more mentally, as you said, especially if it's your first time and you, as you said, you haven't been in the scene for a couple of years. Yeah. There's a lot of expectation.
A lot.
Obviously, during that time, you're learning a phenomenal amount of information about MEP and contractors being late, and then how low is a table and the chair, ergonomics, a huge amount.
And you want to open, you cannot open because this is not working, this one you don't get the license, and this one this. So the stress that you have is enormous.
Because it's a completely different type of stress from working at a 3-star at Joël Robuchon, right?
Of course, or just being a chef. Look, let's be honest, being a chef is it's a lot of stress, but also being a chef and a co-owner, or the more pressure you put on yourself, obviously, the more you will feel it, because now it's not only just being in the kitchen and cooking something or being in front of house and serving people. It's like it takes all of that in one.
Wow. So then look, if I've never set foot in the place now, 2024, guide me through the customer journey into Chez Wam.
Chez Wam, I will say, is an extension of my living room. So, I mean, I wish I had a living room like that, to be honest. But it's a cozy environment. It's made of wood, it's made of leather. It's charming, it's cozy. It's more, the lights are like more dimmed. You have an open DJ booth. I'm a huge music lover, obviously. There's some vinyl that we plays. The music is like 80s to 90s. Not too loud, so you can hear the friends you're having dinner with. On Friday and Saturday, we push a little bit more the music because we want something a bit more like,
Sure.
funky. But yeah, it goes into like a lot of genre type of music, but things that our kind of like generation will recognize. You have a very big open bar also, which serves some interesting signature cocktail with always a little bit of fun thing into it. We do, for example, a clarified Bloody Mary. So we kind of use like the chef's techniques and the bar techniques, and we serve it with an oyster. And then you have this open kitchen, funny enough. So an open kitchen, fully open kitchen. We don't lie. We cook there, and sometimes it gets crazy, busy, and sometimes it's less. And that's the reality of the kitchen. And we have a little counter, which is like a chef's table to come soon. And yes, the rest of the restaurant is organized in a way that it's a 57 seats. So it's not that big, and it feels like pretty full, like very fast. And I will say in the term of food, it's like a French chef doing modern food.
Okay. So, talking about the food,
yes,
I want to understand it. So, when you were mapping out the menu,
yeah,
how did you start that journey? Because that's completely that's obviously you're a chef by trade, 20 plus years, but now you're really putting your heart on a plate. How did you start putting that menu together?
So hard. I had like 10 pages of menu that I had to shrink and think, is this gonna be good enough? Will people love this one? Will people hate this one? What should I do? What should I not? So we literally had like less than 3 weeks to open this restaurant, because as soon as we got the permits on gas and electricity and all of that, it's like, let's open and let's fire it. So mapping the menu was a work of a year or a year and a half, something like that. But obviously, as soon as you enter the kitchen, then you're like, okay, now I don't have time anymore. Stop like the blah, blah, blah that you wrote a beautiful recipe. We need to make them. And some of them work really well. Some of them don't work at all, even though they look super on paper. And then also, I started to do some tasting. So to Nazli, to Gilles, to Rizvan. So for people from the industry, from Recast, to have feedback. And obviously there is a lot of feedbacks. Is it really you? Is it this kind of cooking you want to do? Is it going to be feasible to do that for 100 covers? How are we going to manage? Like a lot of questions comes. And this is where you start doubting.
Again.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, what should I do?
And then pressure, stress.
Yeah. And this is like very hard, because even though being a chef, at the end of the day, it's you on a plate. So you give 100% of yourself and you want people to be happy. Obviously, it's okay. People are not happy. You cannot please everyone. So this is life. This is the restaurant life. Mm-hmm. First, 20 years ago, I was crying when someone said your food is not good. Now I'm dealing with it in a different way. But what I did is I stick to what I wanted. Me, as what I want as a chef to showcase on the plate, which is a French chef doing modern food, influence from my time in Morocco, influence from the small travel that I did when I go to Japan. And, obviously I love Japanese cuisine. There's some Moroccan flavors inside. And there's always like French techniques, like strong French roots that I have. Influences from Joël Robuchon, influences from Alain Passard, influences from all my mentors. But also, I wanted to do something different for Dubai, but not too different. Because, you cannot be too different, because then people get a bit scared. So I really wanted to do something that is fun. Always have a little bit of fun into the food that you serve, because, food is something that you share with people. you're sharing a great moment, anniversary, a friend reunion, a date or whatever. So always wanted to do something that is nice and fun. And there is some like junk food stuff on the menu, some that are a bit more elevated. So it's really like something that you could eat at a chef's place. You go to his place one night and he's cooking a bit of whatever he had in the fridge.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Kind of, but made in a proper way.
Because look, I've been fortunate enough to come and dine.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the place is really beautiful.
Thank you.
Congratulations to yourself. Congratulations to the entire team.
Thank you.
We know that the food was going to be good and incredible, but also what was really nice is, as you said, the ambience is fantastic. The service is particularly very, very good. The team, I would say, how can I describe it? It's kind of like they're casual, but high-end fine dining. I don't know how to describe it.
That's the best way to describe it. We wanted to have a place where you feel comfortable, but with people who have knowledge.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not stuck up.
Yes.
It's not too laid back where, you get a tap on your shoulder and stuff, but it's like here, but not. You know, when you feel people are here when you need them, but they are not when you don't.
Yes. But now the restaurant is busy.
Yes.
You've found your footing.
Yeah.
You're in this incredible location.
Beautiful. St. Regis Garden is outstanding on top of Nakil Mall on the Palm. Very nice location.
Really beautiful, and it's almost become its own gastronomic destination.
I have good neighbors.
Yeah, very, very serious
very
neighbors.
good neighbors.
But now, you completed all of these things. What I sort of wanted to ask you is, from the chef's point of view, and I'm talking about employing.
Yeah.
What were the biggest challenges that you faced?
In which sense?
What I mean by that is, obviously, you have your vision for your restaurant.
Yeah.
You said you have to have you have to have a team who believe in what you do.
Yeah.
Some of these chefs may have not had the background, may have not had the education, may have not had the experience. How did you go about finding these specific individuals who would then become part of your extended family?
So I had few members of my team that have been working with me for a long time. Some of them from like the cooking school, and few of them from Inked. So I kept also obviously the people that I know, I trust, and I believe in to replicate recipes that we've been doing through the years and everything. But I have an extremely strong chef who's from Mauritius, Santu, and has been found by Gilles, so Chef Gilles, who introduced me to him. We literally did a Zoom call when he was in Mauritius. I was like, "Are you interested in the role?" "Yeah, okay." He flew here, and we never met before. So it was a big challenge. But he understood straight away what I wanted. I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of like professionalism in that sense to be able to say, okay, I understand his vision. We will do what he wants, because it's normal as a chef. You also want to bring some creativity, do your things and stuff. But I'm an extremely open person. So I said, look, this is what I want to do as a start. And then we move on for new things.
Sure.
So a lot of like signature dishes that we put on the menu, or we put some specials, every week just to have a bit of fun. Chef Santu is bringing them. We do like something with the team every month. We ask the team to create recipes.
Nice.
Some of them go garbage and some of them we keep. Some we keep only the dressing and stuff like that. But the team is involved into it. And that's what I like, because I think Chez Wam is a restaurant that represents Dubai also. We have so many culture, so many religion, and the menu is like that. We also have like a poulet adobo on the menu, which is a famous Filipino dish.
Yeah.
And my Filipino team, when I say we'll put adobo chicken on the menu, they look at me like, what is this restaurant? You know what I mean? And it's one of the best sellers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's served with couscous. So
you've got the Morocco and the Philippines. Wow.
Yeah, and people are like,
how cool is that?
Yeah, it's actually super cool. And I said to them, one day I said to them, can you do adobo? Because I actually like that. And they did it, and we twisted it, and we made it a bit more Chez Wam style. You know what I mean?
Love that.
So yeah, it's complicated to find the people that can understand what you want to do. But I think it's when you acquire some management skills through the years that you know how to handle that properly and to explain and express to the people what you're expecting from them.
So, being in the region for some time now, what is your point of view within the Gulf region dining scene? How have you seen that evolve? How do you see the future of the scene here?
Look, after 12 years here, like very soon, there was such a big change. I think from the last, I would say 5 years, 5-6 years maximum, there was a huge turn. I think like Dubai at the beginning was a hub, but not for food. Now Dubai became a food hub where people also like come here and it's a food destination. You have like amazing chefs, like Chef Imanju or Chef Grégoire or Soleiman or these kind of people who put Dubai on the map also with the type of food they are doing, or Mohamed Orfali, that are doing like insane things as chefs themselves, putting something on their menu that is like not seen. Before, I felt like Dubai was kind of doing a copy-paste of big brands, big names, just to bring, tourists in. Now I feel like you have so much choices and so much like energy that is put into like the restaurant industry that like the region is evolving like extremely fast.
True, but I need to interject there, Hadrien.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is also within those names that you mentioned, you are also in that list. And
Thank you.
People see you being up there with those guys.
Thank you.
Because you have been here for some time.
Yeah.
You have made a name for yourself. And the food that you're doing is unique. What I mean by that is when you come here, and especially to your restaurant, you can't get that food anywhere else.
No.
So you are in that list.
I appreciate it. Thank you so
Really?
much. I'm not a basic chef, and that's always been like a burden for me also because I don't know how to do normal things. I know how to do what I do, and sometimes for investors or for people it can be scary because I'm not the guy who can open just a Mediterranean restaurant. I don't know how to do that. I know how to do what I do, and I think that's also my strength in that sense. I think the region is evolving, obviously, with Goemio, with Michelin, with 50 Best. Like you will have asked me like 7 years ago, I would say, no way Michelin will come. No way this will happen here. Look at what's happening now. It's just like crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy.
And also you touched upon something which anyone else in the industry would have thought you were mad to open in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And traditionally the summers in Dubai, especially UAE, everybody leaves,
Yep.
right? And they say, no, let's just have an opening in September, October, winter season, because it's very quiet. However, with, as you said, the summer, now the government here and Dubai, they're really pushing gastronomy.
Yeah.
And not only that, so you have food or culinary tourists coming to the region. You also have, and I don't need to tell you, but you have a massive foodie community and everybody champions each other.
Yeah.
Which I think is really wonderful.
Finally.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that was happening before. And I think that helped also like the community to be together. You're helping a lot with what you're doing, obviously. The Dubai Chefs Collectives, it helps to get people together. Not every chef can answer or be there at the events and stuff like that because it's a busy life. But at least you're bringing the community together. And I think that's something that happens in the rest of the world, Europe and all of that. But I think it's here was missing a little bit. And it's coming more and more. People were seeing each other as like, competition.
Yeah.
And now I feel like people are like, look, we do the same job at the end of the day. There's enough clients for enough restaurants.
Absolutely. So, Hadrien, now we have come to the quick fire questions.
Yes.
All right. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to get ready. Okay.
Thank you.
So, first things first. First question. Baguette or croissant?
Oh, wow. It's a very hard choice. Okay, croissant. I even have a croissant tattoo on my hand.
Yes.
So,
all right, like it.
Croissant forever.
Favorite ingredient?
Butter.
Yes.
I'm so French in my answers.
Love it.
It's horrible.
Spicy or pickled?
No, pickled, 100%.
Who would you say are your top 3 culinary heroes, and they don't need to be chefs?
Oh, wow. They don't need to be chefs.
Either chefs, or if you don't want them to be chefs, it's up to you.
Look,
but your top 3.
I think the people I've worked with are my mentors, to be honest. Joël Robuchon, Alain Passard. These chefs are like out of this planet to me, I think if I had took another direction and went to different chefs, I will do different type of cooking as of today. I think these two monsters of the gastronomy are my heroes or mentor. But obviously, I have attachment to some chefs like Ferran Adria, who for me also like revolution the way of like cooking. You like it or you don't, but there is a thought process behind that is
phenomenal
just
as well.
Insane.
Yeah.
So I've always been like a sponge to what people are doing. I think it's very hard to give like just like 2 or 3. But I will say that's my top 3. I will say.
Okay.
Overall.
Top 3, like your top 3 cuisines that you love to eat.
Yeah. Japanese. Turkish, because my wife is half Australian, half Turkish, and if I don't say that, I'm going to have some problems. But I love Turkish food. I will englobe, let's say, more into Mediterranean style. Like, I cannot not have a Lebanese meal every week. I love Lebanese food. So I think like all this Mediterranean region, like Lebanon, Morocco, Turkey, all of that can go like in one.
Okay.
And obviously French, like, but not French like French old school, just French.
Okay. Now, from all of your experience in the kitchens, can you please tell me the funniest kitchen incident that either you were involved in or that you witnessed?
Wow. This is like I have no idea how to answer this question, to be honest. I'm thinking of it now, but I don't know what's like funny or not anymore in the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's a very, very hard question because I think there's a lot of funny moments in every day, and you tease the people you're working with and stuff like that. I think it's not maybe in the kitchen, but I would say more like when you create an event or when you do these kind of things, like
Yes.
you end up having like some really like fun moments of like really hard working and finding something that is funny on that moment, but it's not. So I don't know if I have a proper answer to that, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We'll let you off.
Yes.
Because you answered the others very well.
If I find it again, I'll let you know.
What advice would you give to 16-year-old Hadrien?
Wow. I will say just follow your dream and yeah, just follow your dream. Just be yourself. Don't try to change for others, and don't try to please others too much. I'm that kind of person. I always wanted to please people. I always wanted like people around me to be happy, and sometimes you lose yourself a little bit in that. So
that is very true. There's a lot of chefs who are also like that.
Yeah, of course.
So
we are like
you're
that.
You're not the only one.
No.
Yes, exactly. Now, again, you touched upon it previously, but for you, for any budding chefs or restaurateurs, what advice would you give them if they want to actually go ahead and create their dream and open a business?
Partnership. Find people who believe in you and trust your project, not use you. I think that's the most important. When you're an employee, it's kind of like normal that you're paying someone, so you're using that person because you're paying someone and you have expectation to deliver what you want. I think when you want to open something, You need to have partners that believe in you, trust you, and guide you. And that's the luck that I had also. It's like people who really think of you as a partner and not just for fun or for the paper, you know. It's helping each other. And not like bringing something on the table and then suddenly 6 months after this restaurant is not anymore at all what you want it to. And then this relationship will end very fast, because if you have something in your head, if you have something that you really want to showcase and to do, this has to be like that, you know. And both of the parties needs to believe in it. If the person that partnership with you doesn't believe in your project, it's not going to work.
And finally, what's the single or best piece of advice you could give to any young chef?
Good luck. It's a beautiful job. I think it became beautiful because of the fact that now chefs are also celebrities. So, you know, it's always like attracting the younger generation. I think we live in a world now where everyone wants to have a little bit of their little fame. It's a very tough job. It's a very demanding job. It's a very stressful job, like a lot of other jobs. Don't get me wrong, but hospitality is complicated, and being a chef, it's extremely hard. You need to give 200% of yourself. You need to work when people are having fun. You need to be away from your family when it's the important moments. So you need to be extremely passionate about it. Don't do it for the wrong reason, for being famous or for money or whatever. This will maybe and hopefully come later on, but passion is key, like, because you have to, you know better than me, stand all day in the heat, in the cold, handle people, handle recipes, handle so many stuff that you have to do, that it becomes so challenging that if you don't go to work with a big smile, then it's not going to happen.
If people wanted to find you or message you on social media, where can they do that?
Not anymore on Junk Food Man. They can go on Instagram, Hadrien Villedieu, or come to Chez Wam and say hi. The kitchen is open, and it's made for that, to be able to have anyone who wants to talk to the DJ or the bartenders or the chefs to be able to communicate. We think that it's important to put the people that make the business work in the spotlight, and not to hide them behind walls, you know?
Love that. So look, Hadrien, I just want a quick recap of what we've gone through, because it's fantastic. So look, number one, pies and French toast. Love that. Of course, going through your fussy eating years, and then going into college, and love at first sight. Yeah. Really incredible. Of course, Joël Robuchon, stepping into that kitchen, and from becoming an apprentice to a chef in 6 months, I think is phenomenal. Your travels, which I think, again, they shaped who you are today. Yep. And I would recommend that to anyone, to be honest. Then, of course, from all of your experiences going into being a teacher, or a food instructor, which I think is phenomenal, to then going into Inked, which then helped you again to be even more creative, and to now having your own beautiful space, Chez Wam, which again I thoroughly recommend anyone to go and check it out, because it is beautiful. To then challenges, point of view from the GCC dining scene. So look, Hadrien, from everyone here at the Chef JKP podcast, I want to say a huge thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and I really cannot wait to see what the future holds for you.
Thank you so much, Chef, and it was amazing experience to be here. I really love what you're doing, and always been, a big fan. So I'm happy to be finally one day. I was like, I'm going to sit on that chair also and be able to talk to you about myself and the business and everything. So it was a great experience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.